If you have been following me longer than 5 minutes, you know I'm always talking about therapy. I am always talking about therapy. And in this moment, when I am recording this podcast episode, I've got therapy in 2.5 hours. Now, I cannot say that I'm looking forward to it, but I'm definitely going to go and not talk to anybody afterward. So today we're talking from the series where the top 10 things every entrepreneur needs to do in 2023. And today's topic is get a therapist. Welcome back to my podcast. And today we are in the series of the 10 things that every entrepreneur needs to do this year in 2023. And today we're talking about therapy. Now, there's a possibility that some of the people skipped over this one. But for those that are listening, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for choosing to lean into this conversation here, because this isn't a fun one. This is the one where you are forced to deal with you, and now you got to pay somebody money. So if you're leaning into this, kudos to you for leaning in on this. Every entrepreneur needs to get a therapist in 2023. One of the reasons is because you show up in your business. Okay, listen, just think about that. You show up in your business. And if you are dealing with things, or if you have things you have not dealt with, then those things are going to manifest in your business. I have been in therapy since, when did I go through divorce? 2016, 7 years have been in therapy. Sometimes I've seen, just know I've been consistent. Okay. Sometimes I was seeing a deliverance minister and therapist all in one, honey. I'm just saying. But what I started to realize was, as I started navigating building a business, there are so many insecurities that came up for me because, when you are working a job, you are working a job. You have one job, you do the job, you get paid. But when you are a business owner, you are the one that's building. The responsibility falls on you. There's all these things that you have to do. And then you have to make sure you can pay yourself. And then once you start hiring people, making sure you can pay other people. Not only that, you're the one that shows up, that motivates the team, encourages the team. You are the one that's showing up for your clients, right? You are the ones that when people send an email to quote unquote customer service, you are the one that shows up. And so over the years, I started realizing that I was dealing with anxiety. I didn't know I was depressed after my divorce. I knew I was sad, but I didn't know I was depressed, but I was depressed after my divorce, and I was able to heal because of therapy. I was dealing with a lot of anxiety because of how traumatic the divorce was, and then what we all dealt with in COVID-19. And so I didn't realize how the anxiety that I was experiencing, how it was showing up, like people trying to connect with me and I'm not trying to connect, all this stuff, or a fear that everybody's going to take advantage of me, just all these things were showing up for me in my business because I had all these unhealed trauma and wounds, and I could not heal them all at the same time. They didn't take an hour to manifest, so they're not going to take an hour to get rid of, and so all this stuff was really showing up. But I also had to deal with my issues with money. I was used to being poor. I was used to not having enough and fighting to get just enough, all that stuff. And then having the fear that even having lots of zeros in the bank account, that it's all going to go away. I have to hoard it. I could go on and on and on about all the things that I have dealt with and am still dealing with, which is why I'm still in therapy. And so every time I think about, an entrepreneur who wants to be successful, but even more successful than they currently are, and then successful beyond their wildest dreams, it's really important to understand that you don't really know how to get there, and you don't know how you're showing up through these tough seasons of building a business. I'm not talking about financially, because you may be making a lot of money, but building a business is not easy. There's all these things that go along with building a business. And so one of the best things you can do for yourself is hire someone that you can talk to, someone who is unbiased, someone who is not just going to listen to you, but they're going to give you your good insight. I remember one day I was talking to my therapist about a conversation that I had, and I told her exactly what I said and said, well, that was honest, but there was definitely a better way that you could have communicated that to her. And I had never thought about it. I was just like, what? I was honest, like, you're wrong. And I was honest. And I realized that, oh yeah, there is definitely a better way to communicate to, and that was a person in my personal life, but I was able to then go back to that person, apologize and say, hey, I still feel that way, but just not the way that I said it. But then being able to have the same conversation with somebody else in a much better way, right? Or dealing with people who sometimes people come and they try to scam you or whatever. So they buy something from you, use it and all that, and then say, hey, it was fraud, you did whatever. And it's just learning how to handle situations like that to where you can still resolve the issue and still keep your money or whatever. The old me would have done all type of stuff. I get inbox messages and DMs on Instagram, Facebook, my personal inbox, all that. And because of therapy, I'm really learning how to say what I mean to say in a way that, one, doesn't hurt the person, two, doesn't get me canceled, and then three, just is just good and kind. You know what I mean? And so my whole point in this series is that having a therapist is really for you, not just for your business, but it's really for you. Therapy is hard. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I have a session today. Therapy is hard, and having to deal with you and you showing up and all that type of stuff. But I'm so proud every time I look back, like months later, when we have dealt with something and I watch how I handle things differently the next time. I'm usually cry about it because I'm just so amazed at the progress that I have made, and just the way that I think about things, the way I handle things. Like, I remember I went through divorce and I was so afraid to talk to men again because I was like, I'm just going to get hurt and it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But then watching myself be able to have a conversation with a man and be like, okay, I'm having a conversation with a man and I wasn't feeling any type of way. I was fully myself. I was laughing. I mean, I was 100% Keenya Kelly talking to this man and not feeling like anything. I wouldn't feel like he had to be the one, or I had just watching me just be okay. You know what I mean? And it's just been so refreshing. And I'm sure that my team and everybody connected to me is so thankful that your girl has been in therapy. And so if you really, really, really want to be a successful entrepreneur this year and the next all your rest of your life, then I would strongly encourage you to find yourself a therapist. Okay. It doesn't mean the first one you get is going to be the right one. I've had different ones. You at least got to start with someone. Okay. You've got to start with someone so that you can, just work on you, because it really is, they talk about self-care. Self-care isn't just a vacation. It's not just a massage, but it's therapy, because therapy helps you to navigate and go back to old things and heal old wounds, gives you the right frame of mind today. And it gives you tools to be able to navigate what you're walking in and what you're eventually going to walk through. So I hope you found this episode valuable. Again, this is number 3 in a series of the top 10 things every entrepreneur needs to do this year. And so thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one. To listen to the Keenya Kelly podcast, just visit any podcast player out there, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. We are everywhere.